All right, well, today we're gonna be testing if this $350 heater can heat my 1,700 square foot home workshop. Let's see if it can do it. This is a 36 by 48 pole barn. It's 1,728 square feet. The walls are 14 feet high and the eaves are right at, I would guess, 22 feet. Now on the lower 8 feet, I've been adding additional insulation, as you can see, and that's all R19, R21 that I was able to find on Facebook, used and cheap, because that's what matters. And the rest of the barn, as you can tell, was already insulated. I just decided to add more, and I don't know if that's gonna help. It might, but I figured I'm already here, I might as well do it. So the point is, I want to run the heater so that I can tell, do I need to add additional insulation or anything, or at this point, am I good to go? And as you can see behind me, I haven't even finished adding all that additional insulation yet. So about 75% of the shop has this added R19. And yeah, I just wanna see if I can put up my sheathing and be good, or if anything else has to be done. So let's test it out. This is a 70,000 BTU unit. It can run on kerosene, diesel, or jet fuel, I guess. And it's supposed to heat up to 1,750 square feet. So we're actually right on the tail end of that coverage, being at 1,728 square feet. These are also supposed to generate less moisture than a propane unit. Is that true? I don't know. Never owned one of these. I've never owned a propane heater, and I've never had a shop until right now. So I don't really know if this is gonna work, but I guess we'll find out. So let's put this thing together and see how it does. Looks like we have a front grill, protective little grill here. We have a heat shield of some sort. There is a fuel filter and a bunch of hardware, and then a handle. And that appears to be all we have to do to assemble this thing, and then we'll put some diesel into it and fire it up. Why is that not coming out? Is the insert messed up? Well, we already ran into our first problem. I'm working on installing the handle, and you have to remove these pre-installed screws. So you see they're just in there with a nutsert instead of being threaded, because it's very thin material. That one came out no problem. This one on the rear, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but if you look under, let me see if I can show you. If you look under the nut, or the screw rather, the nutsert is spinning with it. So everything's spinning together and I can't get this screw out. So I'm gonna try to get this thing out of here and get this handle installed, and hopefully everything else is smooth sailing, because that kind of sucks. Well, this is not how I expected this going, but at least we know how it works now, right? Gotta take this thing apart to fix it before we even use it. All right, so here is that issue. Let me show you. All right, so I'm gonna spin this screw. You guys take a look inside. See how it's spinning with it? When you install these nutserts, they mushroom and they sandwich the material. And this one is just not sandwiched yet. So gonna take this thing out and then toss the burner turbine looking thing back in there, and we'll be good to go. So pretty easy to take it apart, just not how I expected to start the project before I even used it. So it's all back together now. I feel like everything that I do, nothing ever goes as planned. Like, this is something I could have never even predicted. Like, if I'm thinking of all the things that could have went wrong when I went to install this or get this thing going, that is the absolute last thing I ever would have thought of. Let me know if this stuff happens to you, or if it's just me, because I legitimately feel like every single project that I start, something goes wrong and adds like 3, 4, 5 hours to the project. This was fixed in like 10 minutes, but it's just the point. Let me know. All right, let's see how much of this diesel we can get on the floor. Hopefully none. Well, since I had to take this thing apart, I'm gonna start it outside, just in case. It says that this red light is supposed to illuminate when it's plugged in. It's not, so I guess I'm just gonna turn on the switch and see what happens. Oh, okay, it's going. Is it gonna start itself? Oh shit. Sorry for the curse word, just kind of scares me, the sound. Let's see what happens here. Well, it turned on. Pretty clean burn actually, no smoke or anything. How hot is that? Uh-oh. Is it because it hit the desired temperature? Oh, we have an E1. What does that mean? I guess maybe we should try it again. It could be something with the diesel. I'm not quite sure. So apparently the E1 code means that it had an ignition error or it flamed out. So let's see what happens this time. Alright, we're back on. I guess it could have just been a bug. First time that it ran, maybe? Just kind of breaking it in. Oh, no, it turned back off again. Yeah, we might have something going on with our fuel. Got another E1. Well, getting quite a few issues right out of the box. I pulled off this back cover to take a look if we had any loose wires or connectors, and everything looks good. Now, this, and I'm not speaking on this as an experienced person with these heaters. As I said, this is my first heater that's like this, so not an expert, but this looks like a fuel pump to me. We have the tank here, we have the fuel filter, we're going into this pump. And then it appears as if we have this hard line going to the back of a nozzle that is actually what provides the flame or the heat. So I saw a couple other videos where they're slightly adjusting this screw and then trying to run it again to fix the E1 code. But the main difference is people are getting the E1 code after years of using it, not just on the first time they're trying to use it, except a couple people in the comments, I did see that. So as I said, what's happening here, the E1 code is apparently the ignition failed or a flame out. Looks like a flame out to me. So we're gonna adjust this little screw right here slightly. I'm talking maybe like a 1/16 or an 1/8 of a turn at a time, and see if we can get this thing to stay on. And we're definitely gonna run it outside so we don't, you know, catch the shop on fire. Let's try this again. I'm gonna get my fire extinguisher out of the Supra just in case. Not like it'll really matter. This thing is outside and it's been raining, so everything's wet. But let's just see what happens this time. It's gonna start any second here, I would imagine. All right, let's see if we get a flame out again. It usually happens in about the first 5-10 seconds from what I've noticed so far. Yeah, there it goes. Same code. All right, well, I got it to stay running. I just had to tighten that screw in about 1 full turn. It's 2 turns out from the factory, so just tightened it in 1 turn, and I believe that increases the fuel pressure. I thought for a second this was working like a carburetor, maybe that was air fuel or something, but I think it's fuel pressure. So it's working now. It's actually putting out a lot of heat. It's even warm out here. Got a little bit of flameage out the front of it right there, but I'm gonna let it run and see if that dies down once it heats up and gets going. But I could always adjust that screw that's on the side of this thing, because I just have the cover popped off. I could adjust that screw on the fly and probably change how much we're seeing there. It's pretty quiet though. It is currently 42.4 degrees in here. I want to see if this thing can get this place up to a minimum of 60 degrees. It should kick on any second here, and then we'll set that thermostat. Let's set it to 70 and see if it can get there. And see, it's now running fine and didn't have the flame out issue. No smell really, no odor. And if you're concerned about the ventilation in here, it's not sealed well. It can escape from here, and basically everything else. It's not a perfectly sealed building. But I do plan to run a carbon monoxide monitor in here just in case. Been running for about 5 minutes, and the front of that thing is, I think I saw 940 right there for a second, but 860, 870, it's getting real hot, and this thermometer can go up to 1130 degrees, so wow. Yeah, that thing is hot. But while we're waiting for that thing, let's go through a quick shop update for my existing subscribers. For anyone that's new, checking this video out just for the heater, I build Toyotas. This is my Land Cruiser I've been building in the past, I don't know, 30 or so videos. Just picked up this right-hand drive twin turbo R Japanese market Supra. It's a 1.5 JZ single turbo, and this is going to be something we start building here shortly as well. So we were working on extension cord power for quite a while, and if you take a look, the power is finally here. We have one outlet that I'm currently running to a surge protector that runs the lights that I installed in a previous video. I do plan to get everything wired in like normal, but right now this is what we're working with. Still got to finish sheathing and insulating all these lower 8 feet of the walls, and then we're going to run surface mount conduit throughout the entire shop. And a really big thing you may have noticed is we got a 2-post lift. So this is a Tuxedo 11,000 pound 2-post lift, and luckily when we had the shop built, we had the concrete thickened to about 10 inches right there, so everything's nice and safe. It works great. I wired that in. This is actually the first thing that I've wired in of this scale besides like a normal plug for a welder, and I just used MC cable, and that goes up the lift along the truss and then over to the panel over there. And then I wired in this double pole breaker as well, just in case like this button ever gets stuck and it keeps going up. Like, I know it has a limit switch up there, but just in case something were to happen, we could flip the power off here. And then when I'm not in the shop, I can turn the power to the lift off. So those are the main updates to the shop. We got this cool oil drain now because we have the lift. We got to have one of these. I started moving over the majority of the rest of my tools out of the garage. So we got the compressor in here, the engine crane. We have a 1JZ, a 2JZ. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's the shop update. We finally have power in here, and things are really starting to make progress finally. We've had the shop up for over a year, and the whole time we had no power. So yeah. It's been about 10 minutes and we're already at 45 degrees and climbing as we speak. So let's come back out here in about, I don't know, 20 minutes and see if we're over 50. It's been about an hour and we're at 70.3 degrees in the shop, which is actually, 70.9 right there, which is actually 30 degrees warmer than it is outside. Let me show you this. So the lower half of the walls right here by the sill plates are not fully insulated yet because I ran out. And if you look, we're sitting around 44, 45 degrees. It's going down actually. We're gonna get down into 43 degrees. And if you go to the insulated section right above it, 52 and climbing, 53. So the insulation definitely works, but a lot of our heat, as I already had imagined, is trapped up in the ceiling. So I think if we were to just put some ceiling fans in here to just draw that heat back down, probably make a pretty decent difference. I think I also said that this thing doesn't have a smell. Well, after living in here for an hour with it, it definitely does have a smell. It's, it smells like fuel is burning. It's not terrible, but it's also not great. So the plan, I guess, is to have that heater run, get the whole shop up to temperature, and once it's all nice and comfortable in here, turn it off. And hopefully, since it's insulated, it holds the heat decently well. So the plan now is to come back in a week when it's way colder, like 11 to 15 degrees, and we'll try out the exact same thing. And let's see if we can get a 30-degree temperature difference then. It is a week later, and as you guys can see, it's been snowing out here. It's colder than it was. It's 30 degrees outside today compared to 44 or whatever it was in the last test, but not quite as cold as I wanted it to be for this test. I was thinking it'd be in the teens, but this is gonna have to do, or else we're never gonna finish this video. So let's see how the heater does. it at 30 degrees. So this time around, I put a fan up there, just a house fan. I don't know how much it will help. I can feel the air down here. So it's gonna blow some of that hot air down. We're just gonna try that out. I also put the heater on top of this table and put it a little bit further away from the thermostat, because I kind of feel like when it was right here, it may have been influencing the thermostat that was just that close to it. Last thing, this thing still was giving me errors. It actually started giving me an E3 error, which meant it was overheating. So I reached out to Mr. Heater Support and asked them what I need to do. And basically, they said I was on the right track with adjusting this screw. Both this screw and the one behind it right here are pressure adjustment screws, they said. What they said was the one with the Phillips head is more fine pressure, and this one with the flat head is more, it's more larger adjustments. I can't think of my words right now, but it makes larger adjustments than the Phillips screw does. So we set this one, it's normally one turn out from the factory. Now it's about, I think, a quarter turn out or a half turn out, and then we slightly adjusted this. You can see my yellow mark there. Maybe you can see that, maybe you can't. Focus. Right there, the yellow mark on top compared to the yellow mark on the screw. So we're about a quarter turn from where that was. And this thing should just start right up with no issues. I guess we'll see right now. Let me turn this thing on. We'll just put the cover like this. Oh, it's not plugged in. Let me go plug it in, then we'll start it up. Let's try that again. And if this thing turns off, then we're just gonna have to readjust that screw some more. I think we're gonna just need some more and more fine adjustments to make this run on diesel, because out of the factory, they're made to run on kerosene. So this will be the coldest start that it's had. So if it does turn back off, we're just gonna have to increase the pressure via that screw a little bit more. And it looks like it's all good to go. So, all right, what I wanna do, I was just making sure it wasn't gonna turn off. I'm gonna let this thing heat up. We're gonna see if that fan up there actually changes anything. It is currently, I'm looking from over here, it's 38 in the shop. And I'm gonna put together the shelf as we wait to see if that thing heats it up or not. Man, it is nice having all this stuff off the ground and on a shelf. Now, this is a temporary setup for the shelf because everything in the shop, as I already said, is under construction. So I moved these engines out of the way, put the engine crane in the corner. I think it's gonna go roughly in this spot. It might go in this center bay. We might even get like a couple more of these and attach them all together. So this is temporarily just holding these parts. It's not how it's going to be, because as you see, there's a lot going on in the shop. Lots of things pulled away from the walls and things scattered, and that's because I'm working on sheathing the interior. So basically everything's in a temporary place at the moment, but everything on this shelf was just on the floor. I kept tripping over it and it was in the way. So it's nice to have that storage available, and that thing went together so fast and so easy. Well, it's been about an hour and we're sitting at 68.5 degrees. I'm in a t-shirt in the shop. And I mean, it's cold outside. It's still in the 30s, as you can see. I mean, it's not warm. We're snowed in out here. Not really snowed in, but there's snow. And this thing is still going. I adjusted the screw a little bit more, and now with this running as it is, with the back window cracked a little bit, as you can see, and that fan going, honestly, the smell is gone. The smell that I was dealing with, it was kind of burning the eyes a little bit. I just think it was getting either too little or too much fuel, and adjusting it got everything good. And of course, we are venting the space. We got a carbon monoxide detector over there, and yeah, everything's doing well now. We were able to work out all those issues, but just, in my opinion, a little bit too many issues for something that's brand new. So I think that answers the question. Can you heat a 1,700-ish square foot shop with a $350 diesel heater? And the answer is yes. As you guys can see here, I'm standing in a t-shirt. The heater is off and we're maintaining a nice temperature after we got everything set. If I had ceiling fans and wasn't using this small little house fan to draw that hot air down, it would be even better. So I did have to tinker with some things, as you guys saw throughout the video. I didn't edit anything out. I didn't hide anything. I had to mess with this heater quite a bit to get the airs to go away, to actually make it run on diesel. Now, it's supposed to be able to run on diesel out of the factory. That's what it says on the box, but I don't know if I believe that. I think it's supposed to run on kerosene, and I think you have to tinker with it a little bit to get it to run on diesel, and that's just the way that it is. But now that everything is set up, it runs great. There's a very, very light odor as compared to before, and everything seems to be working without any further errors. So in the future, I don't think that I'm going to add that additional insulation up in the walls like I was talking about at the beginning of the video, and I don't think I'm gonna close off the ceiling, because if I can be in this shop in a t-shirt in February in Idaho, that is, snow just fell off of the roof back there. That is good enough for me, is what I was going to say before I got sidetracked by the snow. So maybe I add an electric heater in the future, and then I can use the diesel heater to kind of bring the whole shop up to temperature before I then kick on the electric heater to hold the temperature there. But as for right now, this to me is a very cheap solution. $350 to heat a shop this size is very, very fairly priced. And I think I'm just gonna stick with this. So if you guys are new to the channel, I am gonna be building this right-hand drive Supra that's behind me, and we have been building the 80 series Land Cruiser for a while now. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.